Welcome to my Asshole Podcast. Let's get into it. Oh, welcome to my Asshole Podcast. Today is Friday, actually. It is the free June Patreon Day episode. Man, oh man, has the year been flying through. It's already June. Yeah, man. We got the free June Patreon Day episode for you guys. Got an interesting thread as well as the, what is it called? Some crazy scenarios for you guys. We're gonna brain fart, you know what I mean? Alright, our thread for today is girls, what's the craziest or the worst thing a man has ever said to you? Alright? So let's see what crazy shit these men's out here be saying to you. Okay. Would you let a furry get you pregnant? Wait. Huh? Like, huh? Like, I would understand, my guy, if you were just like, hey, you know, would you date a furry? But like, now, context matters. You know what I mean? Are you guys married? You know, like, are you guys married already, or not married? But are you guys together? Are you dating? Like, you know, I don't know, man. Hey, bro, he's just trying to bust him a nut. He's a squirrel trying to get him a nut. Like, all right, I guess, bro. I guess. Okay. You know what I mean? Like, bro. Hey, what the fuck? All right, girls, what's the craziest or the worst thing a man has ever said to you? Would you ever consider allowing a museum to hang your skin after your death?
What did he say?
What? How do you even get to that question? And then if he started the conversation with that, like...
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Huh? Because I can't in any way, shape, or form see myself saying something like that. You know what I mean? I can't. There's no line of questioning or line of conversation that would get me to that point of like, hey man, would you ever donate your skin to be hung up in a museum? Like, what? I don't know, man. I don't know. I hope you were just like gone after that one. Girls, what's the craziest / worst thing a guy's ever said to you? When I wouldn't answer a guy back on a dating app, he called me a whore and said to me, I bet you're finding some real winners on here, huh? Also, the fact that I got catcalled, more at 12-year-old than as an adult woman. I don't know why dudes do this, bro. I always say it, okay? I always say it, and there's a lawnmower going on outside. I always say it. I don't understand why dudes don't have self-respect for themselves. That should be pissing me off so much, man. It really does. It pisses me off because I'm just like, dude, if you can't just take rejection, or you can't just, like, I don't know, just be fucking normal. It's like, what's going on with you, man? So what's wrong with you? I really don't get it. I'm sorry to say it. I just don't get it. I fucking don't get it, dude. I really don't. I don't know why dudes feel like they cannot just have some decent ass self-respect for themselves. Like, what the fuck, bro? You know what I mean? Like, if she's not messaging me back, she's not messaging you back. It is what it is, man. Yeah, I'm sorry to say it, but like, I'm the type of dude, I give a girl a solid 24 hours. You know what I mean? If we're texting, we're talking, we're having conversations, stuff like that. If she doesn't text me back in the next 24 hours, if it goes a whole day, cool, we're done. We're done talking. That's that. It's over. You know what I mean? She either found something better, or Well, let's be honest, she found something better. Like, you know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. It's like, bro, if you want to come back texting me a couple days later or some shit like that, no, I'm good. I'm having self-respect for myself. I'm moving on. I'm not about to just like let you come in and out whenever you want to. Like, I just don't understand why dudes for some reason feel the need to just be like, oh, she hurt me, so I'm gonna try to hurt her the same way. And it's just like, bruh, you look dumb. You look stupid. Like, you are just like, come on, man. Yeah, that guy was stupid. All right, girls, what's the craziest / worst thing you guys ever said to you? Can you pretend to be one of my students? I was an exotic dancer for a time, and this man was a high school teacher. Never left a room faster. She was like, she said, I'm up out of here. Or the time I worked at McDonald's and a man older than the earth looked straight at my tits and said, warm and soft. Oh, and they meant the cookies still. His adult daughter pulled him away from me, absolutely mortified, and just said she was really sorry for his behavior. I was 16. Bruh. That nigga said warm and soft. Yeah. Yo, bro. Old men, I swear to God, bro, they do whatever. They do whatever and they say whatever. I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm sorry to say it, but I can't wait to be that old and just give no fucks, bruh, and just say whatever the hell comes to my mind. Because, man, it is as craziness. This dude over here at McDonald's just staring at this girl, bro. Like, what are you doing, man? Shit. The other guy, though, hey, look, man. My thing is if you're like an exotic dancer, or you're an escort, or you're like in sex work in general, look, you can't sit there and ask for like leeway, or you can't ask, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get the worst of the worst dudes around you. You just are. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know why women feel the need, or like they think that, oh, I am in the escort, or I'm a stripper, or I'm an OnlyFans girl, or I'm whatever, and they think that they're gonna get sensible dudes. You know what I mean? Asking for their services. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but no. If you're gonna put yourself in sex work, bro, you're gonna get the weirdest and the worst of the guys. You know what I mean? And then you think like, oh, this guy or these guys speak for the rest of them. You know what I mean? Like, bro, you're ruining your own perception of men, if I'm being real with you. Like, come on, man. That's kind of crazy to me. All right? Yeah, that's kind of crazy to me, bro. Like, what the hell? All right. But the old man, though, he was wrong. Okay, the old man was wrong. Girls, what's the craziest / worst thing a guy's ever said to you? An old man calling me captivating and asking me out when I was a waitress at 17. Yo.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
Again, man, that's crazy. Like, these old men are wild, bro. What the fuck do you mean he was asking you out? Now, look, he might have not even known you were 17. So, like, I can get that. I can understand that. If you told him that and he still was like, oh, no, I don't care. You know what I mean? Then it's like, okay, that's holy shit, hold up. You know? But, oh, man, that's crazy. Like, old men are wild, dude. Old men are crazy. And like I said, I think they just get to a point where I don't think they really mean it. I think the girls are for some reason thinking that they are meaning it. I don't think they are. I think they're just at a point where they're just old and they are just like, I could just say whatever. I don't really care. Like, because an old man is completely harmless to you, man. That dude is, you're stronger than that old man, guaranteed. You know what I mean? Like what are we doing here? Like, come on now. Especially if, like, Especially if he's like, what, 65 plus? Like, come on, girl. You know what I mean? You can get away from a 65 plus year old man. Not saying what he said was right. I'm just saying it's like, for a lot of old dudes, they just say shit to say shit. You know what I mean? It's not they're being serious. All right, girls, what's the craziest / worst thing a guy said to you? As an opening line, they were alluding that if I went home with them that night, that I wouldn't be disappointed. I was disappointed because I never went home with them. But at the same time, that insinuates that you wanted to and you didn't, and so that's why you were disappointed. Look. Dudes be fucking it up themselves. I truly think that there's a lot of times where girls do want to go home with the guy, and then the guy will say some dumb shit like that, and then she's just like, all right, bro, now I don't want to go home with you no more. You know what I mean? Like, they completely ruin it for themselves. I truly think that. I think if a lot of dudes just kind of like stayed course and just kept the date smooth, and then, you know, at the right appropriate moment being like, you know, hey, so are like we taking this party back to my place, or, you know, am I dropping you off, or what, you know, what's the vibe, you know what I mean? I think she would kind of just be like, well, I don't know, like, I'm kind of down for whatever. And it's like, oh, you know, so my place? And she's like, sure. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I truly believe that there's a lot of girls that are willing to go home with a dude if the date goes really, really well. It's just kind of how you go about it. What guys need to realize is women want plausible deniability. They want it to be like, you gotta suggest it sly and slick. You say it without saying it. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. For some reason, though, a lot of dudes feel as if, like, women communicate like men do, where they, you know, they can just be like straight up and like overt about it. It's like, nah, you can't. Even if you're just like a Chad, super good looking guy, you still have to be very overt about it. Like, hey, so, you know, do you want to meet my dog? You know, and she's like, of course I would love to meet your dog. Your dog is at your place, right? Yes, my dog is at my place. My dog is actually in my bedroom, you know. My dog is my penis, you know, like, come on, man. Like, you gotta have a little plausible deniability up in there. That's what I've noticed in just women in general. You know what I mean? Anytime that you suggest something, like, I would say innuendo, or it's kind of just implied, we're saying it without saying it. I think girls like that more than you just kind of being like, hey, yo, can we fuck? You know what I mean? Now, if the thing is, if it's where like she's just extremely forward, like if the girl is extremely forward, then that'll work. But I mean, there's not a lot of forward women. Now, let's just be real on that. There's not a lot of forward women. I would go with the whole, like, saying it without saying it, innuendo kind of thing, more often than not. Now, if she's overt about it, or if she's, like, straight up with it, then cool. Yeah, like, let's go. I'm down with that. You know what I mean? I think any guy would be down with that. But, again, there's just not many women that are going to be, yeah. So, I'm... Maybe I read it wrong. I don't know, but it seemed like she wanted to go home with the dude, and then he said that, and she was just like, nah, disinterested now. That's what I'm thinking. All right, what's the craziest / worst thing you guys ever said to you? Old enough to bleed, old enough for me, to my sister and I at the mall, freaked me the fuck out, and we, with the quickness back to the car, man. I'm not blaming the girls here or anything like that, but as a guy, bro, you do need to ask for some ID. All right, I'm gonna just be straight up honest with you. As a dude, you need to ask for some ID, man, because I ain't gonna lie to you. I've gotten caught like in this situation before where I've hit on a girl at a gym, and then later she had told me that, you know, she was not of age, and I'm like, oh, why didn't you fucking tell me that? I ain't gonna lie to you, it has happened because it's like they look like they're older than they actually are. You know what I mean? Makeup and, you know, clothing and all that kind of stuff. It is definitely a very, you know, like illusionary. You know what I mean? But again, it's like, dude, at that coming with that kind of strong of I guess you would say pickup line. Maybe he would call that a pickup line. Is just wild to me. You know what I mean? Because I guarantee you he said this knowing after knowing their ages. You know what I mean? I guarantee you he was just like, oh, okay, well, you know, they were probably just like, oh, we're 15 and 17. And he's just like, oh, well, that's good enough for me. Like, oh, bruh. Nah, man. Nah. What the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing, bro? You know? Like, don't get me wrong. I get why he approached. You know what I mean? Because, again, sometimes, like, these girls, they're wearing makeup. They're wearing very, I wouldn't say, like, provocative clothes or anything like that, but they're just wearing, like, very mature clothes. It just kind of gives off the illusion of them being a little older. Maybe they're, like, 19 to, like, 22. You know what I mean? You're kind of, okay, dang. And that's what I'm saying. You got to ask ask the ages. But I guarantee this dude asked the ages and was just like, that's cool with me. And it's like, oh, bruh. Bruh, what are we doing here, man? Okay. Girls, what's the craziest / worst thing a guy's ever said to you? I have a huge D and I can do it all night long. I said, ouch, that doesn't even sound like like fun. A good solid 5 minutes is good enough for me. Man.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Girl, you know you don't want no 5 minutes. Stop. Why you capping? Huh?
Stop the cap.
She over here talking about 5 minutes. Girl, come on now. You know what I mean? Like get the fuck up out of here. And how do I know? Because I talk to fucking book talk girls all day. Okay? I talk to book talk girls all day. And them bitches, man, you know, they want a dude with a hog on him. And they want that man to go for a minute. You know what I mean? I've deduced it down to about like 20 minutes. You know what I mean? Because a lot of girls will sit there and they'll lie to you and be like, oh, I want an hour. Oh, I want a guy that go 2 hours. And I'm just like,
why the fuck you lying?
Because you know you lying. And then they're like, okay, all right. And I'm like, be more realistic. And they're like, okay, like maybe like 45 minutes. I'm like, bitch, no dude is going 45 minutes. And you're not taking 45 minutes. All right? Especially if he's as big as you want him to be. Like, get the fuck up out of here. And then they're like, okay. More realistic. Like maybe 20 minutes. You know? And I'm like, okay, all right. I can believe that. Yeah, but still, even 20 minutes is like, that's still a long time. Yeah, I mean, that's still a long time. I'm like, girl, most of us got like 10, 15 tops, you know. 5, though, you're going to be disappointed. I already know it. And how do I know it is because for me, I usually like to, you know, have sex with the TV on. And I try to time myself, you know what I mean? I look at it like I'll always have something on in the background. A lot of times I have just like Family Guy or American Dad or Futurama or just something on in the background. Doesn't really matter. We're not watching it anyway. And I'll time myself because I know, you know, the episodes are 24 minutes long. So I'm like, if I can get through a majority of this episode, you know what I mean? Then that means I did my job. I'm good. You know what I mean? Because, like, obviously, you know, you don't know. You don't know what time it is when you're in there putting in the work. That's why you got to use the episode. You know what I mean? Hey, I'm just saying. Like I said, I talked to these book talk girls. Ain't no 5 minutes, bro. But what I've noticed, also another thing I've noticed with girls, and even talking to the book talk girls, because they're the ones that want the big D's and all that shit. You know what I mean? Hey, it is what it is. Every dude in these books, you know, they have a massive hog on them, so it is what it is. But I've always asked him, like, you know, do you want it to be a thing where, like, once you guys are in the mood, he just whips it out and that's how you find out? Or do you want to be able to tell you? And they're like, I don't ever say it, because then it just, like, it puts her in a mindset of, you got a small dick. You know what I mean? But if you whip that thing out and I see it and it's like, yo, you know, then she's more like, you know, oh my God, I want your big D. You know what I mean? So again, that's why it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, you got to show, you can't just tell, man. And that's where a lot of dudes be going wrong. A lot of dudes think that by saying they have big D, all of a sudden she's going to be like, oh my God, really? Oh, I can't wait to see it. And it's just like, no, bruh. No, you got no, bruh. You gotta get her in the mood, get her to that point, and then show her that you got that big D, man. You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing here? I can't stand when dudes just be like ruining it for themselves, because I like I said, I guarantee you these dudes will get into positions, right, with these girls where she's already like out with you, hanging out with you, having a conversation with you, whatever it may be. And all you got to do is just lead it correctly in that general direction. You know what I mean? You just lead it correctly. And once you do, she's like more than willing. It was like the first date dude. You know what I mean? Where they went out on that date and then he's like, oh, if you come back home with me, then you're not going to be disappointed. You know, and it's just like, bro, you could have easily like steered this completely different, and you might have gotten it, you know. But hey, dudes are dumb. Dudes are fucking stupid, dude. They're so stupid. Like I see why she was just like, because I guarantee you she was in the mindset of just like, bro, you got a small dick. Like, if you gotta say you have a big D, you probably don't. You know, like, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? Girls, what's the craziest / worst thing that a guy said to you? An old man I served a beer to while bartending told me he thought he could still get it up if he graped me. Come on, bruh. Like, come on, man. What the fuck are we doing here, bruh? Like, do guys think that stuff is, I don't know, it's attractive? Like, what goes through their mind? You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, they see the girl, right? And they're like, damn, if I tell her that I could get my dick up by graping her, she's gonna be just so ecstatic. She's gonna be so happy. You know what I mean? Like, bro, I just don't get it, man. I really don't fucking get it. And I say it all the time. Every time we do these kind of threads, I'm like, it's dudes like this that are fucking it up for the rest of us. You know what I mean? Because now that girl, say a normal dude comes into the bar, he orders a drink, and he's just like, man, you are really pretty. And she's just like, yeah, whatever, thanks. You know what I mean? Fucks it up, and that could have been her future husband right there. You never know. Why? Because that dude decided to be a weirdo, thinking to himself like, oh, you know what? I think this bartender girl is going to be so happy. She's going to be so happy that I'm going to say this to her. Yeah, like, bro, get the fuck out of here, man. I swear to Bob, that always happens. It's just like, dude, there are always these weird ass motherfuckers that will ruin it. And I mean ruin it for like normal ass dudes. I hate that shit. It pisses me off to like no extent, because it's just like, there are so many like really good dudes, and then there are these like fucking weirdos that slip through the cracks, and you just want to beat the shit out of them as like a normal ordinary guy, because you're just like, bro, fuck you, man. You are holding her back from finding her husband, which could be me, but you out here putting shit in her head, thinking now this is what dudes are. You know what I mean? And I know this because there's been countless times that like girls have either written into the show to me. They're like, you know what? You are so right. I went on a date with a dude, or like they're in the comments or whatever. They're like, I went on a date with a dude and he was just absolutely weird. You know what I mean? He was saying all this and all that. And she was like, the next guy that approached me, I wanted nothing to do with him. She was like, he was a nice, sweet dude, whatever, but like, I just could not get myself to talk to him. I could not get myself to, like, engage with his conversation because of the last guy. And I'm just like, yup, exactly. You know what I mean? And I was, ever since, you know, I had that, like, interaction, I was like, damn, like, it is true. It is true, because I dealt with it in my own dating experience. I had dealt with it in my own dating experience, and I wanted to know if other women had dealt with that in their dating experience, where they were maybe out on a date with a guy, and they were just extremely weary of the guy. Like, everything is just normal with the guy, and they're just like, that shoe's gonna drop. The shoe's gonna drop. When is the shoe gonna drop? You know, and then it never does. And she's just like, holy shit, I've been waiting for this shoe to drop the whole time. I didn't even enjoy the date. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even enjoy the date that I went out on. And it just, like, it sucks, because now she kind of looks at it like, well, I didn't enjoy the date, so I'm not going to call this dude back. Oh, you know what I mean? And it's just like, like, the shoe didn't drop. Like, that's good, but, you know, I didn't really enjoy myself on the date. And it's just like, damn. And I've only had one girl that ever went through that, and she actually, like, messaged me back like, hey, you know, can we, like, redo our first date? And I'm like, why? And, you know, you said you didn't have fun, you know what I mean? Or, like, you didn't seem like you were having fun. Because I'm the type of person, I can pick up on shit. I can tell when a girl's just not really interested in it. I'm just like, gone. I don't really care anymore. But, you know, they were like, can we redo it? And I was just like, you seem like you didn't have fun. So I don't even really want to waste my time or even yours doing that. And she was like, no. I had went out on a date with a guy, like, before you, and he was really weird. And, you know, he gave me, like, crazy weird vibes. I had to leave the date, like, literally in the middle of the date. And with you, you know, I was waiting for that to happen, and it never did. And so then, you know, I was the whole night, I'm just waiting for it to happen, and it never did. And so I felt really bad, because, you know, you were really trying, and I just, you know, was waiting for that shoe to drop. I didn't go on a second date with her, though, just because I was like, if that was your first impression of me, you know, obviously I think you kind of jumped back into dating, if you will, a little too soon. And I don't want to have to deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, if you couldn't see me for who I was in the beginning, you know what I mean? And not for what that guy was, like, I just don't think this is going to work out. You know what I mean? Because again, I'm the type of guy where I look at it like, and I truly feel that if you go on a date with a guy, or you go on a date with a girl, or you're in a relationship with somebody and stuff like that, jumping back into a relationship or going on another date immediately, it's not going to fix, like, any of the problems that you're having in dating. It's not going to fix any of the problems that you had in your relationship. You know what I mean? People who kind of just are like serial daters, I don't think, unless you're in a very healthy mindset to where you're able to go on a date and see the person for them and not compare them to the previous person you went on a date with, or compare them to a previous person that you were dating. If you're not in that mindset, then yes, I champion serial dating. But if you're the type of person where you just got out of a relationship, or you've dealt with a string of bad dates, like, maybe you should kind of, like, pump the brakes really quick. You know what I mean? And recalibrate yourself. That way, when you do go on further dates, you can kind of, you know, be in a different mindset. You're not in a mindset of like, oh man, I'm just waiting for this shoe to drop. Oh man, I'm just waiting for this and waiting for that. You know, that's a lot of advice that I've given to a lot of women, and it has helped them out. I've noticed. And they were like, yeah, you know, I took some time off, took a break a little bit, and then I was able to come back into it, and I actually enjoyed myself on the date instead of just going on date after date after date. Because you see a lot of girls on TikTok, right? They complain. They're like, oh my God, I went on this date and it was horrible. Oh my God, I went on this date and it was horrible. Oh my God, I went on this date and it's horrible. And it's like, you have what's called dating fatigue. And instead of taking a break from the dates, you know what I mean? Taking a break, maybe just, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not saying you got to do some soul searching or whatever, but just taking a break, focusing on other things, doing other things, stuff like that. And then coming back to it, then and only then I think you'll go on that next date and you'll actually be able to enjoy yourself. You'll actually be able to have fun with it, because now you're in a mindset of like, okay, you know, wow, I haven't done this in a long time. I haven't done this in a while. Like it kind of, I'm not going to say it's going to bring back the newness in it, but it is going to bring back some like level of excitement or a level of enjoyment back into it. Because if you're doing something over and over and over again all the time, well, you know, you just kind of get used to it. It's not fun. Who cares? All these guys are taking you to the same places over and over again. You know what I mean? It's just like, if you take a break from it, a lot of times it changes your mindset a little bit, because now it puts you in a position where you think to yourself, oh man, I haven't done this in a while. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of girls especially, they put themselves through dating fatigue, and then they wonder why, you know what I mean, the dates are horrible, or they wonder why, you know, dating is so bad and this and that. You know what I mean? Because it's not necessarily always the guy. It's not. Like, could you argue it's a good amount of times that it is? Sure, because guys do dumb shit on the dates. I get that, you know, but I do think that's what it comes down to. It's dating fatigue. Like, and that's why I've kind of like curated, if you will, my TikTok algorithm to kind of just be like angry women, if you will, because I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear what they have, what they're going through, what they have to say, what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Because I want to understand exactly what it is they're going through on their side of dating. Because what a lot of times I've noticed is that women don't try to see dating from the man's perspective, you know what I mean? And try to see like, and try to understand, you know, where he's coming from when he does things, or when he says things, or when, you know, things may not go the way he planned it, or and stuff like that. I just see that they only really look at it from their lens, as to where the guy kind of has to look at dating from her lens, because if he doesn't, well, guess what? Then he's not going to get her. Let's be real. He's not going to get her. And what do I mean by he has to look at it through her lens? Meaning he kind of has to predict things before they even happen. So he has to kind of predict like, okay, you know, what is something that she would like and also have fun with, you know what I mean? What can I talk about that's going to go? And mind you, these are things that haven't even happened yet. These are conversations that haven't even happened yet. You know what I mean? Like, a guy who is good with women is going to kind of put himself through these kind of things before a date. So he's going to set up a date with you. Let's say it's tomorrow. You know what I mean? Let's say he sets up a date with you tomorrow. He's going to sit there and think to himself, okay, I need to get the logistics out of the way. All right, we're going to go here, then we're going to go here. That takes about like 15 minutes. So if we're going to get there at that time, then that means I got to get to her place at this time. And then once I get to her place at that time, that should give me like 25 minutes. Okay, Google says about 20. Cool, we should get there about 5 minutes early. Then we're going to go from here, then we're going to go to there. That should kill around like maybe an hour or so. All right, cool. Boom. Once logistics are done, then he's got to think about, all right, what kind of conversations are we going to have? You know, oh, she did say that, you know, she was into this. She did say she was into that. Like, that's pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like, a guy that's good with women is going to kind of think about those kind of things. He's going to have things that he's going to target and talk about and stuff like that. He has to preempt all of this stuff. But I think women don't really understand that side of it. They think the guy is just like on the fly doing this, you know what I mean? He's just off the cuff. It's naturally just randomly happening. And it's like, no, it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of figuring it out. It's a lot of, you know, thinking about it. You know what I mean? There's way more to it. I love the analogy that a lot of guys have. It's like, women just enjoy the pizza. They don't understand how the pizza is made. You know what I mean? As to where the guy has to understand how the pizza is made in order for you to enjoy the pizza. You know what I mean? The guy has to know how to knead the dough. He has to know how long to put it in there, how high to preheat the oven. You know what I mean? Where to get the ingredients, how to put the ingredients together, give it a good ratio and a presentation so that when I bring it to you, it looks good. All that stuff. Like, guys have to worry about all of that. But I think what a lot of women don't understand especially in the dating world, is that they think that this stuff just happens. They think, we just go on our phone and we're just boop, boop, beep, boop, 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 beep, and date happens. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, it's a lot of planning. It's a lot of time management. It's a lot of, thought process going through it. And you know what I mean? So that's kind of the reason why, like, for a guy, you know what I mean, you flaking on a date, or you not really enjoying the date, or you kind of just being, like, just not pleasant to be around on the date, it does upset a lot of guys because of the amount of, like, work and preparation they had to put in just for that night to happen. You know what I mean? Let alone, like, getting you out of your house. Like, that's probably the hardest part. Women flake crazy amounts. So just getting you out of the house, you know what I mean, was already a chore, and it was difficult. Now that I got you out of the house, I got to make sure everything else in the itinerary, because when I go on dates, I'm transparent with women. I am 100% transparent. I will let them know, tell them, like, everything that I put in to, like, this date, and I will let them know the itinerary as it's going, because what that does is it kind of shows her, like, holy shit, he's been planning this. He's been thinking about it. Like, I'll pick her up, for instance, this was like the last date that I went on. I had picked her up, right? And I was just like, okay, cool. So, we should get to the restaurant in like 20 or so minutes, that I was projecting like 25 minutes, but it seems like traffic's being nice to us, so we'll get there in like 20. So we should be good. We'll be early for our reservation. We go, we get to the restaurant, whatever, we do our thing, we go to the second place. As we're leaving the restaurant, I'm like, man, that was really good. That was really nice, blah, blah, blah. We had our conversation, we had our food, all that stuff. Then I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to like head to the next place, and I'm actually ahead of schedule, which is actually really good. I was expecting to get there at this time and for us to be there at this, but we're kind of ahead of schedule. So that's pretty cool. And throughout the time, why am I doing this? It may seem like it's useless. It may seem like, why are you telling me this? Why are you telling me, this stuff? But what it does is it shows her that I planned down to the fucking minute. You know what I mean? She's just, and honestly, a lot of girls have told me, a lot of girls that I've dated have told me, they're like, dude, it was so crazy, the excruciating detail that he went into for that date. You know what I mean? And we did some simple shit. I didn't like plan anything overly extravagant. I didn't do anything extremely, like, I didn't spend a bunch of money and all that. No, it was none of that. It's just the fact that I planned every single thing, and I let her know down to the minute of the itinerary, what we're doing, what I planned for, what I anticipated for, all that. And it really allows a girl to kind of just like peer into what it took to make this happen. And I think that's what a lot of guys don't do, is a lot of guys don't, they try to keep, I guess, the mystery of it. I think the mystery is in them getting to know you. Like, you ask her questions, and you only give, like, your personal, if she asks back. Like, if you ask her, oh, what do you like to do for fun? And she's like, oh, I like to do X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And if she cuts it there, you move on to the next thing. Or you kind of just bounce off of, oh, you said you like to do this for fun. Like, what got you into that? So on and so forth. But if you don't say, if she's, okay, example, it's best to do this through examples. If she asks, hey, if you ask, what do you like to do for fun? And she says, oh, I like to go kayaking. Let's just say that, for instance. And she doesn't say, I like to do kayaking. What about you? If she doesn't say that, then you don't give yours. But what a lot of guys will do is she'll say, oh yeah, I like kayaking. And then he'll be like, oh yeah, that's cool. I like, going to the gym, and I like, hanging out with my friends and stuff. And it's just like, no. Hold on. Back it up. She didn't ask, nigga. She didn't ask. You go off of the kayaking at that point. Oh, what got you into kayaking? That's interesting. I've never known anybody that, is into kayaking. And you continue it from there. You know what I mean? Like a lot of dudes, like again, women love that kind of mysterious, like I know him, but I don't really like know him like that. You know, like it's he's intriguing. You know what I mean? Like women like that. They like a little bit of that. Women are like cats. They are slaves to their curiosity. And when you can spark curiosity in them, then it allows them to have something to kind of like chase almost, because they're like, I really want to know. And I've said this in a previous show, where if you can get a woman to a point where she looks you up online, then that's how you know, Mr. President, we got him. You know what I mean? Mr. President, we got him. You know, because if you're not able to spark a woman's curiosity, bro, she's bored. She's bored. She's on to the next, bro. She's like, dude was cool, but he talked about himself the whole time. That's how you get that. That when a girl says he talked about himself the whole time, that's what it is. That's exactly what she's saying. She's just like, bro, literally just sat there and talked about himself, because I didn't ask what you like to do for fun. You asked me, so I just answered the question. You know what I mean? So again, I go on the long ass rant to say that it's like, I go on the long rant just to say it's like, I hate when dudes will say, I'll bring a full circle moment. I hate when dudes say some shit to a girl and then it fucks up her perception of men. You know what I mean? Because some stupid retard decided, I'm gonna tell this girl that I can get a boner if I graped her. Like, you know what I mean? So again, I hate that. I hate that because I feel like there's a lot of just miscommunication in relationships. And then there are dudes that are like that just create more miscommunication within it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Again, sorry, that was my TED Talk. You know what I mean? We kind of actually went way too long in this thread. So I'm going to get to our scenarios for today. Oh my God. I kind of went on a little too much, but I don't know. I just think for the guys anyway, they need some dating help. I try not to make myself a dating coach or a guru or anything like that. I'm not that. I am not, this guy that can just like get bitches to go out on dates with him. So like, I have my struggles, you know what I mean? I have my struggles, but at the same time, I guess you would say I've dated enough women to kind of understand that these are the ways you go about it. I've learned a lot of this through trial and error, through talking to women and going on dates. I was that guy that was a fumbling idiot on dates. I won't lie to you. I was him. You know what I mean? Like I was him. I was just that fumbling idiot that constantly made mistake after mistake after mistake. And then I sat there thinking to myself, man, why can't I find a girl to like me? And it's the truth though. It's like, you kind of got to go through this. But what's great about the internet is that you can, find a guy, and it sucks. It is very buried into a lot of content, you know what I mean? Unless you're like looking for specific, but I don't know. I just think a lot of the guys who like purport themselves out to be like gurus and they're dating coaches and all that, man, no, bro, you guys are all fucking losers. I'm sorry to say it, but a lot of these dating coaches nowadays are just losers. You know what I mean? They're guys that go out on a couple dates here and there, and you know what I mean? And then they sit there and call themselves gurus, and it's just like, bro, no, you dated like 3 girls in the last 4 years. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? You know what I mean? Like, that's why I don't come up on here talking about I'm a guru and all that. No, man. Like, sure, I'll give you some advice. Sure, I'll, let you know like my L's so you don't make my L's. You know what I mean? Like, my L's can be your W's. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like, dude, I can't stand the whole guru dating dudes. I hate that shit. Or the dating coaches. Like, bro, get the fuck up off my shit, man. You know what I mean? Because a lot of those dudes, again, they are giving dog shit advice. They are. And a lot of those guys think that asking women is what's going to like, oh yeah, I pulled a bunch of women and I asked them what they want a guy to do on a date, and they told me X, Y, and Z, and then they give that advice to a guy and he does that, and guess what? It doesn't work. And you want to know why it doesn't work? Because what you're doing is you're trying to run a playbook on a team that doesn't know the play. That's what's going on. Now, if you ask a guy who is actually good with women, and actually understands it and has actually gone through, failing and stuff like that. And, he's just gone through, I would say, he's gone through, he's just gone through failing. Let's just say that, he's just had experience in his trial and error. And you learn from that, then I think you're gonna have you have a better outlook, if you will, on dating her. And the reason for that is because, again, when you ask a girl, she can only give you what she wants. She can't give you what the next girl's gonna want. You know what I mean? She's not gonna give you what that girl wants or what that girl wants, because a lot of girls are gonna want different things. But if you talk to a guy who has dated multiple different types of girls, and he's fucked up with multiple different types of girls, and he's had W's with multiple different types of girls, then he can kind of give you a more blanketed advice of just like, hey, I did this and it didn't go well. I ain't gonna lie to you, didn't go well, so don't do that. Maybe try this. And a lot of times he can go to that girl, and the advice applies. Instead of, I went to her and I asked her, and she said that she likes this, she said that she likes that, and then you go and try it on this girl, and she's like, oh, thanks, yeah, sure, appreciate it. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. It doesn't work. And then what a lot of guys do is they'll be like, oh yeah, I asked this girl, what you might like. She said that she likes this. So, I went. Girls hate that shit. Girls can't stand that. They're like, I'm not her. Like, I like this though. You know what I mean? Like, girls hate that shit. They can't stand that. They'll never admit that to you, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? They do not like, I think they feel like it's being compared, or it's like, oh, you're doing something that another girl likes. Why would you do something another girl likes? Thinking that I would like it. Even if she doesn't like it. She's just like, no. It's like telling a girl, oh man, like say you're getting a girl that you're dating or that is your girlfriend. Say you're getting her a perfume, right? And you happen to smell it on a coworker, and you're like, man, wow, that smells really good. Hey, Jenny, what is that? What is that perfume? It smells really good. And you think you're doing something great. You're thinking like, oh yeah, I bought it. It smells super good. Da, da, da. And you give it to your girlfriend, or you give it to a girl that you're dating, or you give it to your wife, whatever it may be. And you give it to her, and she's like, oh my God, oh babe, this is so sweet. What made you get me this? And you're like, oh, this girl at work, I had smelled it on her. It smelled amazing. So that's why I bought it for you. That's bad. You want to know why that's bad? Because now she looks at it like, wow, okay, I don't want this anymore. You smelled it on some other bitch, you know what I mean? And you thought it would smell good on me? You thought that was going to be good for me? No, I'm good. I don't want it. You can smell it on her. You can give it to her and smell it on her. Like, bro, they don't like this shit. All right? They don't like that. That's why I tell guys all the time. I'm like, no, bro. No, you don't do that. You don't ask another woman what she likes and then try to apply that onto another girl. Because, again, she's going to sit there and be like, what? No. Like, that's what she likes. I don't like that. You know what I mean? And you're just going to fuck it up, bro. You're going to fuck it up for yourself. I swear to Bob, bro. It's like a ticking time bomb, and you're over here trying to cut the right wires, man. You cut that wrong wire, bro. Boom! It's just done. You're done. She is instant transmission up out that bitch. You know what I mean? She's like, cool, peace. I'm telling you, man, your best bet is to learn from a guy who has just had experience with multiple women. You know what I mean? He kind of understands like, hey, these are the L's that I made. Don't make these L's. Maybe try this. Go ahead and go with that. You know what I mean? Again, a lot of these dating guru dudes, they think like oh yeah, I talked to over 1,000 women and they said that they want this. And it's just like, yeah, sure. You can talk to 100,000 women, but at the same time, it's like only maybe 1% of those women are actually going to tell you what it is that women in general want, not just what they want. You know what I mean? That's where you go wrong with it. It's when a woman is able to kind of give you general advice is when it's good advice. But if she's just telling you what she likes, like, oh, well, I like X, Y, and Z, so, she might like X, Y, and Z, that's bad advice. That already is bad advice right then and there. But if she's able to be like, well, most girls tend to, like X, Y, and Z, and most girls, are favorable to this, you could try it. That's probably some more decent advice. You know what I mean? Then, oh, well, I like X, Y, and Z, so you should try it. You know what I mean? I'm telling you guys, if a girl says, I like X, Y, and Z, and you should try it, don't try it, because it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Don't do it. But if she dispenses more general advice, though, where she's like, oh, well, girls in general usually like this, or girls in general, respond favorably to this. Okay, we can work with that. You know what I mean? We can work with that. Okay, but damn, I pretty much ate up the entire episode with the thread. I do apologize. That was not my plan. That was not what I wanted to do. I kind of ate up the whole Friday episode. I don't know. I just think it was a topic, I started to go on, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. Expand on it. Talk about it more, because threads like this are the reason why I needed to have, I guess, this conversation with you guys, if I'm being honest with you. Because dudes are always saying just the stupidest shit to girls, and I don't know why they think in their mind, like, oh my God, this is the play. If I say this to a girl, she is going to just absolutely want me and absolutely love me and care about me, or whatever it may be. Whatever he gets through his weird brain, for some reason, they think that is what's going to work. And I personally don't get it. You know what I mean? I really don't. I don't get those kind of dudes. And I just think that those guys are just misinformed. Some of them I think mean it and are just weird. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of them are just misinformed. They're kind of throwing shit at the wall and hoping that it works, or they watch too much porn. That's a big thing too, because I think the whole idea of OnlyFans girls and porn stars and, girls in that industry, they sell this fantasy of women are easy. You know what I mean? They sell this fantasy of oh my God, you can just walk up to me and, you know what I mean? One little tiny interaction will happen and I'm ready to spread my legs for you. You know what I mean? I think it just kind of gives off such a bad, outlook to women, you know what I mean? And because these guys are watching this over and over and over again, it gets so seared in their brain that they think saying this type of shit will get the girl. And that's why a lot of times it's dude, you gotta be able to be that type of guy that can separate fantasy from reality. Sure, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you to stop watching porn. Dudes are gonna watch porn regardless. They're gonna jerk their shit. It just is what it is. All right, but you have to be able to separate the fantasy from the reality. You have to understand the reality of women, so that way when the fantasy of women comes about, you're not blindsided by the fact that she's not actually stuck in the fucking washing machine, or the fact that you can't just be playing video games and she's just gonna walk up to you stepsister style and want to suck your dick or something. A lot of dudes take that fantasy and they think, oh yeah, that's real women. Yeah, that's what they really want. Yeah, they want you to just kind of whip it out on them, and it's just no, bro, that's the fantasy want of porn. You can't bring that into the real life. And I see a lot of guys do it even in relationships. There's been countless times, and I mean countless times, that guys have gone through relationships, and they're just like, oh, I want to do this because I saw it in a porno. I want to do this because I saw it in a porno. Oh, they have what I call the Don John effect, where they stop having sex with their girlfriend just because the fantasy of porn is so much better, and it's just like, bro, you got to be able to separate it. You got to, as a guy. If you can't separate it, it's going to be rough for you, my G. It's going to be rough for you. That's all I can say. All right. Well, that's going to end today's episode, man. I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry I didn't get into any scenarios today. I just literally was rambling on, but I felt like it was a ramble that was kind of needed because this thread kind of really rustled my jimmies, if I'm being honest with you. It was just one of those things where I'm just like, look, I get it. On the Sunday show, we bag on women a lot, but I ain't going to lie to you. I am not opposed, I guess you'd say, to ragging on men. Like, I would argue men need it, a little more than women do in some cases, just because, like, women are just taking advantage of what's going on. You know what I mean? They're just taking advantage of what guys are doing for them. And that's why I'm not necessarily mad at them. I even have a clip where, this girl's talking about, this guy bought me this and this guy did this and da-da-da. And, for me, I'm just like, bro, dudes have no fucking self-respect for themselves. You know what I mean? And in that clip, I'm not ragging on her. I'm ragging on the guys, because it's like, dude. And then you have guys in my comments talking about, oh, you can't just be nice to her. Yes, you can. You can be nice to a girl, but you don't have to buy her something. You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous to me that a woman would never buy a man that she doesn't know anything. She would never do that. She would never do anything of that sort. She would just look at it like, well, why can't I just be nice? Why can't I just have a conversation with him and be nice that way? You know what I mean? But for some reason, dudes think like, oh, I have to be nice with my wallet. And it's just like, the fuck are you doing, bro? You know what I mean? You're setting a precedent for women to think like, oh, yeah, if a guy isn't leading with his wallet, I don't want him. You know what I mean? If a guy isn't trying to buy me shit right off the get-go, I don't want him. Like, that's what's cultivated this shitty fucking, culture in dating now, is where women want men to lead with their wallets, and because they look at it like, oh, you offer nothing else to me besides your wallet. And it's that thought process he is cultivated through men. It's like, if you guys are sitting there and constantly just giving bitches money for no reason, or you're buying them stuff for no reason, then it's like, dude, you're perpetuating that. And she's just like, yeah, see, look, that guy on the podcast told me that that's not the way it should be, but all these guys are willing to do it. You know what I mean? And so it's like, until no change gets effectuated. And then she gets to be 30 and she's just like, okay, I'm looking for the guy now. I'm looking for him, the good guy, the good guy that doesn't lead with his wallet and that, has a great sense of personality. And, the guy I should have been looking for 10 years ago, where is he at now? You know what I mean? Like, and it puts women in these situations where they still feel like they can get that dude, but they don't. You know what I mean? They may be illusioned that they can get him because he'll go on a couple dates with her, or, he'll pretend and feign interest, and, you know what I mean, until he gets sex. And then once he gets sex, then he's just like, all right, cool, deuces. That boy's gone, And so, again, I just think that's what really fucks up dating, is like dudes who sit there and they lead with their wallet. If a lot more guys got that from a woman and was just like, all right, cool, peace, I don't want to deal with you anymore. You know what I mean? I think it would disincentivize a lot of women to want a man to lead with their wallet. You know what I mean? Because she feels as if, oh, there's nothing he can offer me besides money. You know what I mean? Or his wallet. I think then we would get back to the whole, women would look at it like, okay, if I want attention from a guy, I need to actually, have a conversation with him, actually kind of get to know him a little bit, actually, you know what I mean, want to do that. But a lot of women look at it like, I can totally just like trick this dude out. Why? Because he thinks I'm pretty, or he's interested in me. So I'm just going to do it. And then again, I'm not blaming the woman because she's just taking advantage of the situation. I'm blaming the guy because he's giving in to that. He's not going to sit there and tell her no. You know what I mean? He's going to sit there and be like, oh yeah, sure. You want $100? Okay. Here's $100. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing, dude? Oh, well, she asked. So since she asked for $100, I just gave it to her. And you're just like, all right, bro. All right, man. But again, that's gonna be today's episode, bro. Again, I'm sorry I didn't get to any scenarios. I got onto a rant, and I believed it was a needed rant. I ain't gonna lie to you. I really do. I think it was a very needed rant. But I love you guys. I'll see you guys on Sunday. I was gonna say Tuesday. See you guys on Sunday. We got some videos we're gonna be reacting to and all that good stuff. Michael will be back on the show. But yeah, this has been the Patreon day, the June free Patreon day episode. I love you guys all. Appreciate you. I'll see you on Sunday. Peace.